Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight for a special bedtime story. As the day comes to an end, we invite you to relax and let your imagination wander into the realm of dreams. Tonight, we have a tale that will transport you to a world of mystery and compassion. It's the story of an old, impoverished woman who finds herself spending a night in a haunted house. Wishing you a peaceful night's sleep. Let's embark on our story. Not too long ago, there was a house near Willowbrook where spooky things happened. Every night around midnight, a terrible noise could be heard coming from one of the rooms in the old house. Eventually, that room was cleared out. All the furniture was removed because no one wanted to sleep there anymore. Only a rickety bed remained, as no one knew where to put it. One day, an old, poor woman who had been wandering the streets for weeks arrived at the house. The storm was raging, and the dark sky had poured down streams of water like an inexhaustible fountain over fields and roads. Outside the towns and villages, the earth was a large shining puddle with only a few cobblestone islands here and there. The branches of the trees bent under the persistent force of the rain, and the leaves could no longer stop the flow. The water had seeped into the poor woman's shoes, drop by drop, finding its way through, and little streams followed the path of the drops, creating ripples in turn. She waded through the puddles in the field. The rain coming from above was even harder to bear. In the beginning, the old woman had draped her skirt over her head, hoping to catch some of the incessant downpour under this makeshift umbrella. It was futile. The piece of shabby cotton offered no protection whatsoever. She gave up. The water now poured onto her bare head, and from there it cascaded down along her thin body onto her already soaked shoes. As she walked through fields and roads, the rain had free rein over her, and just like the tree leaves couldn't impede the water, the woman didn't pose any significant obstacle. The flow disregarded everything and everyone. The water splattered from her head and shoulders to the ground. She was raining just as heavily as the dark clouds above her. One can understand how delighted she was when she finally saw a house in the distance. What she wouldn't normally do, she did now. She rang the doorbell. They can chase me away if they want, she thought, but they can't do anything other than that, and there are worse things in the world. To her surprise, when she explained why she had come, they asked her politely if she would like to come inside. They left her standing in the hallway, dripping wet as she was. A few children at the end of the hallway looked at her in awe, as if she were a character from a fairy tale. She laughed because she loved children. She nodded at them kindly, causing even more water to flow from her tangled hair. A man's voice echoed through the foyer, and an old gentleman approached her. "Do you want to spend the night here, little lady?" "If it's all right with you," the lady said. "And are you afraid?" he asked her. "Why should I be afraid?" she asked, surprised. "Would you dare to sleep in a haunted room?" "In any room, even if there were 1,000 ghosts," the lady said. "Come with me, then. I'll show you the room." She obediently followed him. "What a waste of a beautiful hallway," she whispered when she saw the pools of water forming behind her. "Don't worry about that," said the distinguished gentleman. "If you sleep in the haunted room tonight, I'll be satisfied. Perhaps it can finally come to an end." There was nothing remarkable about the room. The space was empty except for the old bed. A large windowsill was built by the window, and the gentleman sat down there, gazing intently at the old, drenched woman. "Are you truly not afraid?" "If the gentleman had walked in the rain as long as I had, he wouldn't be afraid either," she replied with a twinkle in her eye. The old gentleman chuckled and gestured for her to sit on the bed. She obliged, her wet clothes leaving a damp mark on the worn-out mattress. As they sat in the dimly lit room, the rain continued to batter against the window pane, creating a haunting rhythm. The old woman leaned back against the bed's wooden frame, her tired eyes fixed on the gentleman. "Tell me," she began, her voice soft but filled with curiosity, "what is the story behind this haunted room? Why does it stir such fear in the hearts of those who hear the midnight noise?" The gentleman sighed, his gaze shifting to the rain-soaked streets beyond the window. "Many years ago, a tragedy occurred in this very house," he started, his voice tinged with sadness. "A family once lived here, a young couple and their infant daughter. They were happy and content until one fateful night when a fire broke out in their home." The woman listened intently, her empathy evident in her expression. "The couple managed to escape, but they were unable to save their child. She perished in the flames, and her spirit is said to still linger within these walls." A shiver ran down the woman's spine, but she remained resolute. "And the noise? What is the source of that eerie midnight sound?" The gentleman hesitated for a moment, his eyes filled with a mix of sorrow and apprehension. "No one knows for certain," he confessed. "Some say it's the anguished cry of the child's spirit, trapped between the realms of the living and the dead. Others believe it to be a mournful lullaby, sung by the grieving mother." The old woman nodded thoughtfully, her gaze drifting to the window as raindrops raced down the glass. "It sounds like a story filled with sorrow and unresolved pain," she murmured. "Perhaps the child seeks solace, longing to be heard and understood." A flicker of hope crossed the gentleman's face as he looked at her. "That's why I invited you here tonight," he admitted. "I've seen your kindness and compassion. Maybe, just maybe, your presence can bring peace to the tormented soul that haunts this room." The woman reached out and gently placed her hand on the gentleman's, offering reassurance. "I will do my best," she promised. "Sometimes, all it takes is a listening ear and a compassionate heart to heal the wounds of the past." As the clock struck midnight, the room fell into a hushed silence. The rain outside seemed to hold its breath, as if anticipating what was to come. The woman closed her eyes, focusing her thoughts on the sorrowful spirit that dwelled within the house. And then, a soft, melodic sound filled the room, a haunting lullaby that swirled with grief and longing. It echoed through the air, reaching depths untouched for years. Tears welled up in the woman's eyes as she listened, her heart breaking for the pain carried within the melody. With each note, she sent her empathy and understanding, silently urging the spirit to find peace and release. Minutes passed, and the lullaby gradually faded away, leaving behind a profound stillness. The old woman opened her eyes, feeling a sense of tranquility wash over her. The gentleman beside her wore a look of awe and gratitude. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice filled with emotion. "You have brought peace to this house and to the spirit that dwells here." She smiled, a radiant warmth emanating from her. "It was not I alone," she said softly. "It was a collaboration of hearts, a shared desire for healing and understanding." As the rain continued to fall outside, the old woman and the gentleman remained in the room, sharing stories and laughter. The haunting midnight noise had ceased, replaced by an atmosphere of serenity. In the days that followed, news of the room's transformation spread throughout the town. People who once feared the house now visited, drawn by the newfound sense of peace. The old woman became known as the one who brought solace to the haunted room, a beacon of compassion in a world often filled with fear and uncertainty. And as for the spirit of the child, her anguished cries were heard no more. In their place, whispers of a gentle lullaby lingered, carrying a message of love and healing to all who listened. The room that was once feared and avoided now became a sanctuary, a place where the past and the present merged, reminding all who entered of the power of empathy, understanding, and the human capacity for healing. And so, the haunted room was transformed, not only in its physical state, but in the hearts and minds of those who had witnessed the remarkable power of compassion. That's it for today's video. You would greatly assist us by leaving a comment sharing your thoughts on the story. Feel free to suggest which story you would like to hear next time in the comments. With that being said, we sincerely appreciate you joining us on this enchanting journey. May your dreams be filled with warmth, hope, and a touch of magic. Wishing you a serene and rejuvenating night. Good night.